calling this message, The Kingdom of Heaven is Like. Jesus talked a lot about the kingdom of heaven. He said that he was coming to bring the good news of the kingdom of heaven. There's this section in Matthew where he says, the kingdom of heaven is like, the kingdom of heaven is like, the kingdom of heaven is like. And he gives several different examples. I'm not the sharpest crayon in the tool shed. It just hit me recently what that means or what that could mean. If you're listening to this message and you go, well, duh, that's okay. Some of us are a little bit slower. Apparently I'm one of them. Proverbs 11:30. The fruit of righteousness is a tree of life, and he who wins souls is wise. Proverbs 4. Get wisdom, get insight. Do not forget and do not turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will keep you. Love her, and she will guard you. The beginning of wisdom is this. Get wisdom, and whatever you get insight. He who wins souls is wise. For years, I thought that meant he who tells people about Jesus and they get saved and now their spirit is saved is wise. I read it years ago and went, wait, that doesn't say spirits. That says soul. What's your soul? Your mind, your will, and your emotions. We are like God. We're a three-part being. We have a body. We live in that. We are a spirit, and we have a soul. We have a mind, will, emotions, heart. Those ways that we interface with the world. Our spirit is saved by the blood of Christ. Our body, well, hate to tell you this, but eventually our body's going down to the grave. That's just the way it's going to go. But our soul, our mind, that's where the battle is at. That's where the battle is at from the time you are born to the time you die, from the time you get saved to the time you die. That's where the battle is at, and that's why we're left on this earth, so that we can win that battle. In Matthew 13, verse 16, Jesus begins to tell a series of parables. He says, blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For truly I say to you, many prophets and righteous people longed to see what you see, and did not see it, and to hear what you hear, and did not hear it. Proverbs also says, eyes to see and ears to hear are both gifts from the Lord. Meaning, what's a gift? A gift isn't something you buy. You know, in all you're getting, get wisdom. Wisdom is something you can strive to attain. But eyes to see and ears to hear, you can ask for them. God gives them. He gives them freely. But if you don't have eyes to see and ears to hear, you can't get it. The gospel's like an open secret. You ever have one of those things where it's right there in front of you the whole time and you just can't see it, and then one day it goes click and you go, whoa, and you realize it was there in front of you all the time. It starts off with the parable of the sower and the seeds. Matthew 13, verse 18. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes along and snatches away what is sown in his heart. And we all know the story, right? The seed that's sown along the path, the seed that's sown in the sows. It's just thrown out there for everybody and anybody. I had heard, coming from evangelical churches, that's about salvation, but I don't really believe that, to be honest with you. I think it has to do with the revelations that come with the kingdom, the ideas that you get. Sometimes you hear something and you just can't hear it. Somebody said it, they said it to you 10 times. You ever been married to someone or in a relationship to someone and they tell you something and you go, I have been saying that to you over and over and over again. Remember my marital superpowers. One of my marital superpowers is that I can repeat back the last thing you said even if I wasn't listening. It's the things that you said 3 sentences earlier that I might not have caught before you stopped. And then one day you hear it and you go, oh, when I gave my life to Jesus in 1988, I excitedly called my father-in-law. And I knew that out of everybody, he would be someone who would be excited for me, right? I called him up and I said, guess what? I just said the sinner's prayer and I'm so excited. I'm so excited about God. I don't know what to do with it, but dang if I'm not excited. He said, I have been telling you about Jesus for years now, and you just won't listen because you've got this thick head, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God, I wish I hadn't told him. I should have kept it a secret. Well, why couldn't you hear it when I said it? Well, did you talk like that? I don't know why I couldn't hear it, but I couldn't. The guy I did hear it from and believe and respond, he just happened to be that person. One of the things that the Overflowing Cup does beautifully, we have guest bands, musicians, ministers in here so that if you can't hear it the way I say it, or the way Dave says it, or the way somebody else says it, you might just get the opportunity to go, wow, you know what? I just attended an Inter-Ally concert, and suddenly I'm on fire for Jesus. And I'm like, I've been telling you this every week. What the heck's wrong with you? Go home. You're supposed to get it when I say it. In the kingdom, seed time and harvest. Jesus teaches that over and over and over again. The seed falls on the ground, and the ground is your heart. And some days you can hear something, and some days you can't. So as long as people are just feeding that, as just giving you that seed, just scattering it over and over and over again. And you may think, I just don't want to hear this. I remember when I came to the Lord, I kept thinking, why didn't anybody share this with me? But a week earlier, I was thinking, God, I just wish all these people would just shut up about this Jesus guy. And then suddenly it was real. So Jesus started talking about parables, and the seed that's scattered on the ground is one of them. The mustard seed is another one. He said, the kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard, and a man planted it, and eventually it became the biggest of all the trees or bushes or whatever mustard is. Then he says, it's like the leavened bread. The kingdom of heaven is like someone who puts a little bit of yeast into flour and mixes it all up, and it begins to grow and create and become something. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field, which a man found and covered up. Then in his joy he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, who on finding one pearl of great value went and sold all that he had and bought it. Now, for those of you who were here on Wednesday night, what did we learn about the pearl? The pearl comes from an unclean thing. In Leviticus, it says that anything that comes from the sea that doesn't have fins and scales, you're not even to touch. It's unclean to you. So a pearl is unclean. He said, the merchant in search of fine pearls. And when he found one of great value, he sold all he had and bought it. That's a picture of Jesus. What do you have to go through to get into heaven? The pearly gates. You have to go through that. Jesus knew that he had sheep in other folds that were not the ones that he was speaking to. And Jesus said, I have to go talk to them. I have to go preach to them. I have other people who will hear my voice in other fields and other pens. It's not just about you. I brought it first to you, then I'm going to take it on the road, and we're going to syndicate this thing, and it's going to be great. So what do you have to get through? Your own perceptions of what is clean and what is unclean in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. You notice what he didn't talk about? He didn't say the kingdom of heaven is this strong set of towers and this castle, and we've got a big army, and they're going to kick butt over the Romans, and they're going to kick butt all over your enemies and your adversaries, and we're going to establish you on a throne, and you're going to be a big shot. You are going to rule and reign. There's a time for that. But the people he was talking to, they were looking for a Messiah to ride up on horseback, kick butt over their enemies, and establish a kingdom. A military, forceful, governmental kingdom. They didn't get what they wanted, did they? Imagine the surprise on their face when their Messiah, the one that they were placing their bets on, got taken in the Garden of Gethsemane, went to a sham trial in the religious institution. Then went to Herod, had another, it wasn't even a trial there. He was rejected by religion. He was rejected by the governmental structure of the day. Pilate said, I wash my hands of this man's blood. It's not mine. It's your problem. He was nailed to a cross, and he died. Suddenly, this guy that you're placing your bets on, this guy that marched in triumphantly on a colt with everybody saying Hosanna and throwing rose petals, and this is it, we got it, we got what we want, right? And then a week later he's dead. And he's already told you, I'm going to die, but after I die, just hang out, just wait. Just wait. So they're all waiting for him. And then he comes walking back in. He says, here I am, but I have to go away again. And he does. He ascends into heaven. They all see it. That's not what they thought they were going to get. I don't know why I'm stuck on this for the last couple of weeks, but your life isn't what you think it's going to look like. I'm sorry. I am not the only one on this planet who doesn't have the life that he thought it was going to look like. When I was 18 years old, I was positive that my life was going to look like Gene Simmons in Simmons Family Jewels. I was going to have a big mansion. I was going to have a hot trophy wife. I got that one. So I was going to have all the riches and a recording studio, and I was going to fly around the world, and I was going to do this, and I was going to be a rock star. Now I realize I'm a rock star, but maybe not exactly in the way I thought it was going to look. Your life, I guarantee you, if you're honest with yourself, doesn't look like you thought it was going to look. And that doesn't have to bring disappointment. For some of you, you're going, heck yes, my life is rocking. It's so much better than I thought it was going to be. That's good. That's good. But that doesn't mean that God isn't working in you and through you all the time, every day. There's a plan, and it's moving forward, and it's moving forward, and it's moving forward. This has a point.